On this edition of Oxford News This Week, a statewide task force created after the shooting. A new judge is presiding over the case, and thanks to a congresswoman. That and more on this special edition of Oxford News This Week. And welcome back to Oxford News This Week. As we all hope to see in the trying financial times, the Township of Oxford received an outstanding credit rating of a AA+. This rating brought them up from respectable to AA rating, assigned by the Standard & Poor Global Agency, which is a universal real-time institutional bank and insurance company, accepted rating and standards. The Township's new rating shows Oxford has a strong capacity to meet its financial commitments. Township Treasurer Joe Ferrari said the ratings are important and they exist due to the current water bonds and parks and rec bonds at Chase Bank. Last week, Oxford Village Police Chief Mike Sowald reported a number of service citations and accident calls for 2021. The annual report came out. The good news is that the department was called almost 400 times less in 2022 than in 2021. Officers issued almost 200 more citations or warnings in 2021. All in the village issued over 4,000 tickets or warnings in 2022, which responded to also 91 accidents in the village, limits compared to 63 in 2021. It appears to most the village streets are becoming a little more crowded, so let's all be a bit more careful out there. Again, just a friendly reminder. During their first meeting of the 2023, the Leonard Village Council provided an update on a proposed upcoming budget. According to the village president, Michael McDonald, he doesn't anticipate much of a change from last year.
Okay, there are no great surprises or changes in this. Basically, we're recommending pretty much the same expenditures. Some of them do reflect the changes that we made this year, that we saw this year, especially in the building department, which is really a balanced budget. Where by law we can't charge more than what it costs us to operate the department for the residents. So the only places that I foresee any potential major expenditures will be with sidewalks and potentially park improvements this year. We're still hoping to finish our park improvement grant, and we also have the infrastructure grant for the sewer study. But those are projects that are already underway and are already partially paid for as well. So at this point, that's where the big any changes would appear there.
Before adopting the budget, a public hearing will be held at the next council meeting in February, which will include setting the millage rate and Truth in Taxation Act. The council has approved a motion to appoint Trustee Alex Kennedy as the village president.
At this time, I'd like to offer the village council my recommendation for the village president pro tem, and that would be Alex Kennedy. He has served, as you all know, or most of you know, for several years now in that capacity, and I'd like to continue that.
I'll do my best. I know you will.
We know you will, Alex.
During any absence or disability of the current president, Trustee Kennedy will take over the duties of that president. Once again, that all from Leonard. The Township of Oxford unanimously accepted a resolution to express gratitude to a Congresswoman, Alyssa Slotkin, for helping secure nearly $400,000 in federal funding to construct an over 5,000-foot safety path along North Oxford and Ray Roads. Though it currently is still, she was in Washington, D.C. at the time of the award, Slotkin accepted the framed copy of the resolution through her district director, Alexa Standard. The process to be recognized for the need to began in April of this past year, 2022, with a grant written and submitted to Slotkin by Township Communication and Grant Manager C.J. Carnacchio. The award was given over 90 other projects applications. The goal of the project is to create an escape route for students and staff to evacuate from the high school to the already established safety of Myers Store. This will serve as a district-designated emergency meeting point. Additionally, it will also give the community another shared use path which serves recreation, fitness, transportation, needs of walker, runners, and cyclists. Once again, we appreciate the grant and all the work that went into that. A statewide task force has been created after the Oxford High School shooting. It has been recommended in its final report to improve and implement full background checks for firearm purchases, safe gun storage, and that students have access to mental health services. The school task force, made up of 4 Republican and 4 Democratic representatives in the State House, have issued the initial recommendations in April of 2022 and released the final in late December. The report also addresses mental health education and public services such as OK to Say and Know the Signs and educator training, school infrastructure, and standardizing. Emergency protocols, task force members, and other members in the House have already drafted up 14 bills after the report, addressing issues related to the report. Millions of dollars in recommendations were made with that report. The Addison Township Public Library has published their winter hours and will be open Monday through Wednesday and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and from this has to be, it says 1 a.m. to 2 p.m. I would imagine that's 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays, closing on Sundays. For more information, contact the library for their hours. Again, I'd look into that Saturday hour, 248-628-7180. In one of many lawsuits filed after the November 30th shooting, Oakland County Circuit Court Judge Mary Ellen Brennan was assigned to preside over the civil lawsuit, replacing Judge Ray Lee Shabbat, who retired from the bench in December of 2022. She was also asked by families, Attorney Ben Johnson, for more time to dispose more school employees before she makes a motion on whether or not to dismiss the case. Once again, a new judge handling that situation. With that, Dave Kenny will have a few segments. I'll be back with some sports, and I'll close out the news. You are watching Oxford News This Week.
When the world's endangered animals need help most, when their lives are at greatest risk, when they would otherwise be lost, the International Fund for Animal Welfare is there, taking action to rescue the animals we love, to protect them and their threatened natural habitats. But the danger to animals the world over is growing, and the need for your help has never been more urgent. On land, you'll help stop poachers from threatening and killing elephants and big cats for the illegal wildlife trade. In the oceans, you'll help rescue dolphins, whales, and seals from deadly hazards. And you'll help rescue, rehabilitate, and release vulnerable animals when disasters strike. Here at home and around the world, we can't do this work without you. See how you can help animals and people thrive together at joinifall.org.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from Automotive News. Companies including General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Google, and solar energy producers said on January 10th they would work together to establish standards for scaling up the use of virtual power plants, or VPP systems, for easing loads on electricity grids when supply is short. Energy transition nonprofit RMI will host the initiative, the Virtual Power Plant Partnership, VP3, which will also aim to shape policy for promoting the use of the systems, the company said. Virtual power plants pool together thousands of decentralized energy resources like electric vehicles or electric heaters controlled by smart thermostats. With permission from customers, they use advanced software to react to electricity shortages with such techniques as switching thousands of households' batteries, like those on EVs, from charge to discharge mode, or prompting electricity using devices such as water heaters to back off their consumption. VPPs are positioned for explosive growth in the U.S., where the 2021 Inflation Reduction Act has created or enlarged tax incentives for electric vehicles, electric water heaters, solar panels, and other devices whose output and consumption can be coordinated to smooth grid load. RMI estimates that by 2030, VPPs could reduce U.S. peak demand by 60 gigawatts. That's the average consumption of about 50 million households, and by more than 200 gigawatts by 2050. Virtual power plants will enable grid planners and grid operators to better manage growing electricity demand from vehicles, from buildings, and from industry, and make sure that the grid can stay reliable even in the face of ongoing extreme weather challenges and aging physical infrastructure, said Mike Dyson, Managing Director of the Carbon-Free Electricity Program at RMI. Rob Threlkeld, GM's Director of Global Energy Strategy, told Reuters that VP3 would be able to show that EVs can become a reliable asset to the retail utility and or the retail transmission operator and be an asset to homeowner and to fleet customers. VPPs have already improved grid reliability in such countries as Germany and Australia and in some U.S. states. During an extreme heat wave last August, wholesale market operator California Independent System Operator avoided blackouts by calling on all available resources, including VPPs, to dispatch electricity. Google Nest smart thermostats contributed to easing the load. That is increasingly going to be required to make sure that the grid remains resilient and that we avoid blackouts and that we enable the grid to become cleaner and greener, said Parag Chakshi, Director of Google Nest Renew. Other founding members of VP3 include Ford, SunPower, and Sunrun. Wow. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
Back with you on Oxford News This Week. Some sports. Again, we'll be covering full winter sports as it gets underway. On the Oxford High School varsity Twitter page, the 2023 season schedule has already been announced. According to the release, Oxford will open up their regular season August 25th. That'll be at home against Eisenhower. They host Oak Park on September 1st and then travel to Lake Orion on September 8th, to Rochester Adams on September 15th. They will host Clarkston on September 22nd and then travel to Stony Creek to wrap up the month on the 29th. In October, the Wildcats host to West Bloomfield, and the 6th of October, North Farmington, and October 21st, that game will be determined. Again, that's all on the Oxford football Twitter feed. Feel free to check that out when you can. The Oxford Mardi Gras competitive cheer team invitational at the Oxford High School was this past weekend. Middle schoolers, 4 junior varsity and 8 varsity cheer teams all competed. Above, the Oxford varsity squad took first place with a 691.8 points in the non-bold division. Oxford JV team finished 4th, again congratulating all the cheerleaders and all their efforts. Again, that does wrap it up in sports. Dave Kenny should have another segment. I'll be back in a moment to close it all out on another edition of Oxford News This Week.
The day that JD was injured, I had woke up to an odd phone call. It was the military calling to tell me that he had stepped on an IED.
My role in the Army was I was an infantry scout. I was a squad leader for a recon element.
The Army doesn't really prepare you for injuries. They either prepare you for the soldier to come home or not to come home at all. They don't prepare you for the in-between. There's things that I do for him that is considered caregiving that to me is considered just loving him.
The day I got injured, she got wounded as well. And the veterans wouldn't be the men that we are and the women that we are today if it wasn't for our better half helping us every direction we go.
The Coalition to Salute America's Heroes helps severely wounded or disabled veterans just with basic needs such as emergency financial aid. For our family specifically, they tremendously helped us out with employment through their Heroes Thinking Heroes program.
Visit saluteheroes.org to learn more.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. A new Omicron subvariant called XBB 1.5 is now the dominant COVID-19 strain in the U.S. and will likely become so in other parts of the world. The proportion of COVID-19 infections due to XBB 1.5, nicknamed the Kraken, has been doubled almost every week in the U.S., says Stuart Ray at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine in Maryland, making it the nation's fastest spreading variant. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, estimates that nearly 30% of COVID-19 cases in the country are due to XBB 1.5, skyrocketing from a mere 1% at the start of December. In the northeastern U.S., as much as 75% of cases may be XBB 1.5. It's the most transmissible subvariant yet, says Maria van Kerkhove at the World Health Organization at a press conference on January 4th. So far, 28 other countries, including the UK and Australia, have been detected with XBB 1.5, she said. While the UK government doesn't publicly report COVID-19 variant proportions, the Wellcome Sanger Institute, a research institution in the UK, estimates XBB 1.5 made up 4% of the country's cases in mid-December. XBB 1.5 originated after 2 previous COVID-19 variants swapped genetic material while infecting the same individual, says Ray. Therefore, XBB 1.5 is genetically similar to other Omicron subvariants, but with a few advantageous characteristics, one of which may be an improved ability to bind to and infect human cells. XBB 1.5 also appears to be better at evading immunity than previous variants due to changes in its spike protein, the part of the virus targeted by vaccines. A preliminary study by Can Yu at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing found that the XBB 1.5 subvariant had an enhanced ability to escape antibodies in blood samples taken from 116 people, all of whom had previously received either 3 doses of the CoronaVac COVID-19 vaccine or 2 doses of an mRNA vaccine and had recovered from a recent COVID-19 infection. However, this doesn't mean COVID-19 vaccines offer no protection against the rapidly spreading subvariant. Ample evidence indicates individuals with at least 2 vaccines are less likely to become seriously ill or die from COVID-19 than those with fewer shots, even with new variants, said Ray. Antibodies to older strains get activated and augmented by exposure to current strains, even if the match isn't 100%, says Bruce Hirsch at North Shore University Hospital in New York. Protection is even better with the bivalent boosters available in the US and the UK, which target subvariants that more closely resemble XBB 1.5, says Ray. Only about 15% of people in the U.S. over the age of 5 have received the updated booster, leaving much of the population vulnerable. The good news is that many treatments for COVID-19, including antiviral medications such as Paxlovid, will remain effective against XBB 1.5, says Ray. Preventative measures such as masking and improving indoor air ventilation are also able to slow the spread of this disease, he says. What we're not seeing, thank goodness, is a virus that is brand new, says Hirsch. This is just the latest variant to become a bit more efficient and a bit more infectious. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. Stay away from the Kraken. I'm Dave Kenny.
Good morning. I'm Connie Miller from Free Meals. You probably all know that by now because I've come to you often enough, but I'm back again. You can see from the picture behind me, that's what our pantry shelves looked like last night after service. We started service in pretty good shape, low on a couple things, but we're empty now, which means I'm going grocery shopping as soon as I leave here. We continue to need help from the community. Cash donations, grocery donations. I think maybe some people are curious as to who is receiving this service from the team. They're your neighbors. No one knows what goes on in the house next door, but I know a lot of these people. And initially, a lot of these people were embarrassed when they pulled up because they've known me for 30 years. They live next door to us. They live down the street. It's not all senior citizens and homeless people. Matter of fact, that makes up a very small percentage of the people that we serve. These are families with children, and it's getting worse for them every week. They're trying to make their bills. They work, they have jobs. Most everyone's gone back to work of some sort, whether working from home or back to an outside position. Nobody's slacking here. That term was used yesterday by a gentleman at Meijer when he saw that I was buying a lot of milk and eggs. He referred to those people as slackers. Well, they're not. They're trying really hard. And they are reluctantly accepting help, asking for help, and they're very, very grateful. But we're almost 3 years into this now, and things are just continuing to get worse. So I need help in every way. As I said, I need groceries, I need cash donations to buy groceries, I need people to help with the cooking, I need volunteers. I would love it if somebody said, hey, I'll go grocery shopping for you, give me a list, and I'll bring it back to the church for you. Or, when are you stocking the shelves? I'll come and do that. When I have somebody on vacation, like I do right now, who generally runs the pantry, I'm doing all of that, in addition to the other things I do. And I'm not complaining, but there's plenty of opportunity here to help. To the parents, this is a good time to teach your kids. Teach them that there are people out there just like them that are going through a tough time, and they can help. They can show up, if for nothing else, than to smile and wave at people on Wednesday nights. It's amazing how far that will go. We love to have the kids come. We also, if the kids need service hours, or if you know someone who's had perhaps some legal issues and they need service hours, by all means call me, 248-933-4579. That might as well be on a billboard around town, but we just simply need your help. I hate having to keep coming back and asking. We had really hoped that this thing would be over by now, or would at least be better, but it's not, and now we're moving into winter months and the holidays. If you can't put food on the table, you're not buying Christmas presents. For myself, my husband and I are not buying Christmas presents this year. That money goes to other places. It goes to free meals. And, you know, it's hard to deny yourself, but maybe think about this. If you're going to have a child and you're going to buy them 10 gifts, buy them 9 and give me the difference. I can make it go really far. So we're heading into Thanksgiving, where we will be serving a turkey dinner. Could really use some help that day with the cooking and with the packing and everything else. Face it, we could use help all the time. We've got a big team of people, but not everybody can make it every week. And some people are frankly getting burnt out, and I can understand that. On a side note, last year we were chosen to be the Grand Marshals for the Christmas parade. We were thrilled, but there was no Christmas parade. So we were asked to be the Grand Marshals for this year's Christmas parade. So if you have ever volunteered or donated to free meals, if you're still on the team, whatever your connection is, we would love for you to join us in the parade. We will be leading the parade, and we'll have our banners, and we will walk and shine a light on all the good work that all of you have done. And even if it's something small, it's appreciated. So consider that. We'll line up at the corner of Crawford and Mechanic at about 12:30 on the first Saturday in December. And you are all more than welcome. So think about that. And you can bring groceries with you, or you can bring cash with you. Going forward, just please think of us. Think of what we're doing. And this isn't for us, it's for our neighbors. And some of those same people that come and get food and groceries and such return and volunteer. They feel like they have to pay it back. Well, they don't, but we certainly welcome them. I have several people right now serving that come to get food because they need it. So there's really no rules or guidelines. You don't have to give me your ID to get food, and you don't have to tell me why you're there. Just come and be there. And tell your friends. You know, it'd be a great holiday thing. Have a food drive in your neighborhood. You know, or amongst your clubs, or these various group chats. I mean, there's so many ways people are in touch with large groups of people these days. Help me get the word out. Again, my number is 248-933-4579, and we will be including a list of the groceries that we carry on a regular basis as part of this. I'd like to thank Terry and OCTV and my wizard Kyle for helping me, again, using their facilities to put this together so I can get the word out to you quickly. Thank you all.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2?
1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on.
Learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
Well, that'll wrap it up here on this edition of Oxford News this week. Once again, if we haven't already, we wish you a Happy New Year. Hope your New Year goes as well as it can. OCTV can be viewed on Spectrum Charter Channel 191, Channel 99 on the AT&T Uver system, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Also, you can even download the Roku app and watch OCTV programming there. OCTV is also available to local groups for producing public service announcements. If you have a show idea and want to volunteer possibly, give our office a call. We have many volunteer positions, 248-628-9658. Again, we'd like to thank our director-producer, Kyle Snage, videographer, Al Campbell, editor, Kyle Snage, program coordinator, Dan Zweiss, program director, Connie Miller, and station manager, Terry Stiles. For everyone here at OCTV, I'm Jim Hughes, hoping you have a safe week, and I invite you back next time when, again, we will take a look at Oxford News this week.